Welcome to Basket Talks new episode. This is Mir Demir Demirer from Basket Talks. This episode we are with Brose Bamberg's assistant coach Mate Jakab. How are you, coach?
Thank you. I'm doing fine. It's a busy period, of course. We play a lot. It's always busy, to preparing for the opponent, but it's always nice to have time for small talks. So thanks for having me.
And thank you to make time for this interview. So if you're ready, let's start with questions. I want to start with your basketball career and your basketball history. When and where did you first see and fall in love with basketball?
First of all, I came from a very family who, where the sports was a really important value. My father, played handball. My mom used to be a professional, badminton player. So the whole family was completely connected and related to the sports. And the town where I grew up, it's a Eastern Hungarian town, and now they have, the first division basketball team. That was my first experience in basketball that, our family company, supported the team. And as a child, we could attend games. And I think, that was the point when I saw first time professional, basketball game. And I remember, I loved the atmosphere.
You said your father playing handball and your mother playing...
Badminton.
Badminton, yeah. You like badminton or handball, firstly?
No. Of course, I tried, with the badminton a little bit. I played in a school, in a primary school, but, when I started to play basketball and I was recruited by the basketball, it became a true love.
Yeah. And you said you love the basketball's atmosphere, right? And I don't remember, but I want to ask you, do you remember which match did you go and love the atmosphere first?
Who I can't remember right now. That, but I remember that, back then my hometown, managed to challenge, all the big teams at home court. It was a pretty, famous home court.
So you played basketball? You have a basketball career as a player?
Definitely, yeah. I played, 10 years, I played basketball and, I ended up as a second division player.
Yeah, so when did you decide to switch basketball player to coach?
I think it's a pretty common story. I played in second division, so I ended up in the second division, and I haven't seen, too much potential in my professional career. So when I started the university, I moved to Budapest. By the way, first of all, I studied, economic. That was my first degree. But when I moved to Budapest, I started my coaching career. Back then, talking about it was 12 years ago. There was a club, that Social Academy. They were, the first certificated basketball academy in Hungary. They had a major focus for the youth program and, youth developing. And I applied there to join the coaching staff. I just, told them, just give me some job and no matter which age group it is. And my approach was completely like, I want to learn from the best. I want to belong to one of the best academy of Hungary. And I tell the truth, my first season was completely unpaid. But suddenly, I just understand that the patterns that without any investment, never going to succeed.
So I'm curious that why you think like I can't be a basketball player? What's wrong?
I could have been, a basketball player in certain level, maybe second division level, maybe first division level. But, I thought, I was like an average player. I didn't want to be like an average. And back then, I have seen more potential in a coaching career.
Yeah, in Hungary, right? In Hungary?
Yes, it was in Hungary, yeah.
And do you remember your first game as a coach, as an assistant coach?
I remember my first professional game. Actually, after spending 3 years in this Social Academy that I have already mentioned, I had a chance, I had a chance to see, the great basketball programs in Europe, played a lot in international level. We organized a lot of friendly tournaments. We played against Barcelona, Partizan, Cibona, Mega Vizura, and Stella Azzurra Roma as well. Despite of this experience, my first division job was related to the women's basketball. Before I got the job, I was selected to the coaching staff of the women Hungarian national team. So it was a pretty unique experience because I was back then 22 years old and I completely found myself in a professional environment, the greatest female athlete in Hungary. We had a great coaching staff. We had former WNBA player Dalma Iványi, and the head coach was Sándor Farkas. And last but not least, I had assistant coach colleague, Péter Völgyi, who is now, the head coach of the EuroLeague team, DVTK Miskolc. And he got a job offer from a women's team. Right now, this team also compete in international level, Euro Cup level. And he took me, as an assistant coach. Basically, that was my first professional coaching job. I remember, that in the first game, I needed to translate a lot because, that was our working flow, that the head coach was talking in Hungarian and I was translating, his information and transfer to the players. And I completely remember that I was so confused, which type of information I need to transfer to the players.
And you was in national team, women national team, in first experience. Yeah, that was really great. I'm curious that, again, do you have any totems do before the game?
If I would have totem, I wouldn't tell you.
Why?
That's for sure, but I think coaches are so crazy. Everybody has something, everybody has some, like a mascot or something like this. I remember that we had some pretty weird things. When we won the Hungarian Cup, we had, the same shirt for the 3 games and we need to win, 3 games within 3 days. And I remember that we use, the same shirt each day. That's a kind of like totem, or that's a kind of like that, you can play with this type of mascots.
Yeah, LeBron is a totem too. We don't know what's this totem, but I think he has totem. So I remember we have a totem with the team. We have a socks totem. All matches we have a same socks, like pink socks or white sock, and we believe we won the game, but we always lose. It's not good totem, but we like it. So you're an assistant coach right now, right? In Brose Bamberg team.
Correct. Yeah.
What are your responsibilities as an assistant coach right now?
Right now, for sure, I cannot, compare the responsibility, what I had in Hungary and what I have here in Germany with Brose Bamberg. For example, in Hungary, we just couldn't afford, such a big, coaching staff as we have here. So back then in Hungary, I did almost everything by myself, preparing the games, sometimes, 2 games per week. I tell the truth, it's a pretty massive job. Keep and, when you create some standards regarding to preparing for the opponent and, when you play, 2 times a week, and just maintain those standards are pretty massive if you are completely alone. So first of all, the background work, preparing for the upcoming opponents. I was involved, the daily routine as well, such as warm-ups, individual workouts, and something else. In Germany, here in Brose Bamberg, way bigger, supportive staff around the team. For example, we have a player development coach, we have 2 assistant coaches, we have a strength and condition coach, a full-time strength and condition coach, and what is more, there are always 1 intern who always have 2 our team managers. So the staff are way more bigger, here in Germany than it was back then in Hungary. But overall job is the same. Here in Germany, we try to divide it a little bit better. So here I would say like everything is like a joint effort.
Thank you. So I saw your Instagram, you went to NBA Summer League. NBA Summer League 22. First, please describe your experience. How was it? Because I'm really want to go, and I don't know how was it. How was your experience?
Fantastic experience. It's definitely a fantastic experience. I was there in 2019, and I was completely shocked. How big is this event? How massive? How huge this event? You should know that all the serious clubs from Europe try to represent themselves during the event. And I think it's a really amazing opportunity to meet certain people, scout the players, especially, like in real time, and collect, the latest information in terms of the roster changes or some players movement as well. Say a huge thank you to my club, like Brose Bamberg, because I represent them, during this event. And I think it's a major responsibility. Besides this, I was watching a tremendous number of players and games as well. I was able to watch some NBA practices as well. And it was outstanding to see, how certain NBA teams, organize the workouts between the games. Watching, scouting the players in a real time, it's really special. You can see the sizes, you can see, the body languages on the court.
So there is a challenge out there in Europe versus NBA. Like we have a challenge with NBA as a Europe. So what are your thoughts on NBA versus Europe basketball?
It's a good question. I think, it's like nowadays it's a big discussion to compare the European basketball versus, the NBA basketball. And I tell the truth, I'm really basketball alcoholic. I follow a lot of, European leagues besides, those leagues that I have to follow. And, I try to, follow and watch as many NBA games as I can. We here in Bamberg, we use like a certain, analytic tools, and there are some analytic softwares, and there are some really nice, tools that you can watch back the ball in play, and it means you can finish by watching an NBA game within 55 minutes, which is a wonderful tool, and I really like to, use it and watch back the regular season game like this. In my opinion, this Eurobasket 22 showed how physical the European basketball and, all the NBA players and, coaches both admitted how physical and, intense the basketball here. Lately, I have seen some great concept, against some switching defense, which is really common, overseas. And I try to execute here or implement, here in Europe. And I know it works mutually because certain, NBA coaches, love to steal something from the European teams as well. I guess, it's like a really beneficial relationship.
Thank you for your opinion. So let's continue with thoughts. What are your thoughts on basketball in Bamberg? But Bamberg is a right spelling. It's like Bamberg. German is a hard language. I don't know how was it. It's Bamberg or Bamberg?
Yeah, Bamberg. Correct.
Bamberg. Yes. What are your thoughts basketball in Bamberg?
Bamberg, Brose Bamberg, I think it's an amazing, organization. Despite the fact that we are not belong to anymore to the EuroLeague, but I feel, the circumstances which is surrounding us, it's still EuroLeague level. So we have amazing facility here. We have great, personals, around the team. So no complaint at all. It's a great organization. The basketball in Germany, it's also really impressive. The league is really intense, really physical, really fast, and I think a lot of good players appears here year by year. Regarding the nationalities, the head coaches and assistant coaches, more than 15 nationalities represent themselves in the league. So it's really colorful, and you can see a lot of different structures and ideas. I think this is the major reason that the league is so highly appreciated, because a lot of nationalities here. You can really discover a lot of concept by the coaches, and all the teams are really well prepared.
What are your thoughts about this season to Brose Bamberg? The team is good, and
the league just started. We should have started better, the domestic league, but in the season we also play double competition. We play, in a FIBA Euro Cup. We won, both games in FIBA Euro Cup. It's really time to collect some wins, in the domestic league as well. It's a long season right now. I cannot predict where we're gonna, end up, but try to do our best.
Yeah. So you believe your team and you want to be champion. We talk about basketball in Bamberg, and I want to ask you basketball in Hungary. So what are your thoughts on basketball in Hungary?
I think, the league is developed a lot for a while. It's really important, and I have to declare that, all the teams are pretty stable, financially. Some of the teams, have great budget. I used to work, in Sonog, which was, the best club, the best organization in the last decade. I would say it's a great, like a trampoline league. If I should mention something, what is definitely, not the best, I would mention the lack of expertise in a management level. Besides this, I think the federation also put more emphasizing by developing or qualifying the domestic coaches.
Yeah. So what are your suggestions in basketball coach in Turkey?
I think it's a long journey. It's require a long-term thinking, because you cannot compare this profession by being a player, because players' career are even shorter than the coach's career. So it requires completely a long-term thinking. I would suggest, to invest and be patient. Otherwise, I would highly suggest to keep learning and develop, themselves. I would love, to share, my experience, because, I came from a country which is completely, off the map. And back then, I was planning to step out, the international market, but accomplishing this step was way more harder than I expected. So, especially if you were born to a basketball country, you don't need to prove too much that you are good, because it's sometimes, they take it granted. For me, who came from a non-basketball country, it was extremely hard. I had, three bases how to accomplish my goals. The first base is, to set up some standards and collect, the knowledge. And I tell you, what I mean. I wanted to, create a high standard to myself. It means that I establish, certain, criteria to myself. If I, bring an example, you can understand, what I mean. For example, when I created the scouting report, to my players in Hungary, it should be as detailed as, the coaches provides the players in EuroLeague. I just set up, this standard to myself. Besides this, I think it's very important to collect, all those knowledge, what you can, by showing up some, coaching clinics, which is, really important. The second basis was, the hospitality. It means that, when I had a chance during the national team breaks, which provided me some great opportunity to travel somewhere, I always, traveled and I visited some teams. I get opportunity to get more inside the daily workout of Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, or Alba Berlin. During my stay, I could talk with the coaches. I could understand, more, even, better the concept. I could learn some new drills and new strategy as well. And the third one, which is, the most important, the network. I think this is the one of the most important, bases among these three. Who that's real key. From my country, and right now there is no, any coaches from Hungary who works or, used to work out of our country. So I couldn't reach out, anybody for asking help. I needed to create my own network to establish some relationships.
So for young basketball players, is the same from the coach?
Definitely same. Definitely, it's to invest. It's very important, the players is also, invest, their physical workouts, strength condition workouts, individual workouts, nutrition. It's, invest is also important, and, also to be patient. Let's take it seriously, no matter what, they need to, take seriously everything.
Yeah, not this three taxations, players and coach. And they will be great.
Yeah.
Networking and no wage standards and hospitality.
Hospitality. Yeah, that was the third one. Yeah.
Yeah. So we come to last question. I saw your Instagram. You really love tennis. You play tennis and you watch tennis. So if basketball never existed, would you be a tennis player?
I'm not sure tennis player. I'm not sure, because it's required also, a great physical conditions and something like this. But nowadays, I love tennis. It's a completely different sport than basketball, because first of all, it's an individual sport. It's not a team sport. You are completely alone, and you need to deal with the challenge completely alone. There is no any teammates who is going to contribute. I think it's a huge mental game, and this is the reason why I love it.
Yeah. So thank you for your replies and coming and accepting my invitation.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, and see you soon. Again, a real or I want to come your match as soon as possible.
Anytime. Feel free to come. It's here. The games are very good. The atmosphere are amazing, really. And
thank you.
Feel free to connect me.
Thank you. See you next time. Bye-bye.
See you next time. Bye-bye. Bye.
In this episode, we are with Mate Jakab. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoy. Don't forget to follow Basket Talks on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and all music platforms. See you in next episode. Bye-bye.